Oh, this is a member of the Voice of Reason. I'm coming at you today, and gotta keep it down because I'm in the library right now. I'm not just saying that. I really am sitting inside a library. I'll prove it to you. See? Books. Yes, you and I pick up a book and read every once in a while and actually expand my mind. Anyway, this is also a quiet place to do a video. So this should be a lot of fun. I am now going to turn the volume, my internal speakers, low. And today I'm going to be analyzing a video of the amazing James Randi. The man has made a career exposing charlatans and frauds, but 90% of the people he's exposed are people with severe mental illness or people who are emotionally troubled themselves. So basically, he's made a career out of publicly destroying the lives of people let me restart that sentence. He's made a career out of already destroying the lives of people who are already in serious need of mental health treatment and counseling. So, I'm going to analyze everything. I'm going to analyze this video of him, and you, the audience, can hear it. And I'm going to point out everything from the point of view as a peer advocate, but I'm also pointing out as somebody with PTSD. And sometimes when you have PTSD, you can see little behavior traits in other people, or you can pick apart little behaviors that other people just simply wouldn't have because they don't have PTSD. Anyway, here it goes. Oh, for the record, TED Talk, if you guys are watching this, you really, really need to start screening the people who give lectures at your talks better.
Happy to see so many fine folks out here, so many smiling faces. I have aversion to your background, attitude, and approach to real work because I am a conjurer. Now, I prefer that term over magician because if I were a magician, that would mean that I use spells and incantations and weird gestures in order to accomplish real magic. No, I don't do that. I'm a conjurer who is someone who pretends to be a real magician. Now, how do we go about that sort of thing? We depend on the fact that audiences such as yourselves will make assumptions. For example, when I walked up here and I took the microphone from the stand and switched it on, you assumed this was a microphone, which it is not. As a matter of fact, this is something that about half of you, more than half of you, will not be familiar with. It's a beard trimmer, you see, and makes a very bad microphone. I've tried it many times.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there real quick. The man enunciates and is very profound in his speech and is overly confident. This means he's trying to win the audience over and get all their attention, and he's trying to kind of looks up from what I could see, he's trying to rope people into seeing things his way. He's doing the exact same things that Warren Jeffs has done and that Jim Jones has done. And Marshall Applewhite, and he looks just as batty and sounds just as disturbing, and in his subtle but profound approach as those people, and that's actually not funny at all. I'm actually very bothered by this. Let's continue.
The other assumption that you made, and this little lesson is to show you that you will make assumptions, not only that you can, but that you will when they are properly suggested to you. You believe I'm looking at you. Wrong. I'm not looking at you. I can't see you. I know you're out there. They told me backstage it was a full house and such. I know you're there because I can hear you, but I can't see you because I normally wear glasses. These are not glasses. These are empty frames. Quite empty frames. Now, why would a grown man appear before you wearing empty frames on his face? to fool you, ladies and gentlemen, to deceive you, to show that you too can make assumptions. Don't you ever forget that. Now, I have to do...
See, that's the part where I gotta stop right there. He's very high on his own voice. It sounds like he's patting himself on the back, and he's sitting there trying to basically go like, see, look what I've done. I fooled you. I won. I'm the one who's coming out on top. That's actually something Charles Manson did. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, the people who the famous people over the years who he has roped into his world have been young people at college. We're at the college age level, and it's a common myth that intelligent people can't be roped into somebody like this, but they can. Actually, the more intelligent you are, the easier it is to manipulate you, which is very actually disturbing. There's a lot of people say, I'm just too smart for that, I'll never fall for that. Yeah, it's been statistically proven that 9 times out of 10 highly intelligent people are the ones the first people to be roped into and manipulated by people such as this. So yeah, this is another negative point against the amazing James Randi.
Do something. First of all, switch to real glasses so I can actually see you, which would probably be a convenience. I don't know. I haven't had a good look. Well, it's not that great a convenience. I have to do something now which seems a little bit strange for a magician, but I'm going to take some medication. This is a full bottle of Calms Forte. I'll explain that in just a moment. Ignore the instructions. That's what the government has put in there to confuse you, I'm sure. I will take enough of these. Indeed, the whole container. "32 tablets of Calms Forte." Now that I've done that, I'll explain in a moment. I must tell you that I am an actor. I'm an actor who plays a specific part. I play the part of a magician, a wizard, if you will, a real wizard. If someone were to appear on this stage in front of you and actually claim to be an ancient prince of Denmark named Hamlet, you would be insulted, and rightly so. Why would a man assume that you would believe something bizarre like this? But there exists out there a very large population.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there again. That's another thing he did. He sat there, he admitted, I'm a magician. Already right there, he's basically proving his dominance over the audience, saying, see, I have the power to fool you, I have the power to enlighten you. Either way, basically what he's doing right here is he's basically establishing his power and his need to emotionally manipulate and conjure up whatever answers he wants to give them. He's basically, in a way, having pretty much an emotional ejaculation, as they call it, and he's getting off on it. This is something that people who have preyed upon on those at 12-step meetings and cults and various sketchy churches have done the exact same thing. When the video is done, I'll explain to you where I'm getting all this insight from. But yeah, now by doing that, he's established his dominance over them, and he's proven that he can do whatever he wants. Wow. This is actually scary.
Population of people who will tell you that they have psychic, magical powers, that they can predict the future, that they can make contact with the deceased. Oh, they also say they will sell you astrology or other fortune-telling methods. Oh, they gladly sell you that, yes. And they also say that they can give you perpetual motion machines and free energy systems. They claim to be psychics or sensitives, whatever they claim. But the one thing that has made a big comeback just recently is this business of speaking with the dead.
Well, all right. Here's another thing. Another thing that he's not yet pretty much I'm questioning is, why does he feel he has the need to do this? Why does he feel he has the need to go around and trying to expose psychics? There is a reason why there are psychiatrists and ministers in churches. In fact, most Jewish, Hindu, Christian, and Muslim pretty much faiths strongly urge and discourage that sort of thing, going to psychics and mediums, because they know they're charlatans. In fact, the first people to tell you that they're charlatans are ministers of those faiths, and the first people to tell you that they're charlatans are psychiatrists. So to sit there and to pretty much for him to assume that he has this actual need to narcissistically do this. Is quite childish and stupid, and I'm sensing a lot of trauma in his voice, like something happened to him in his childhood, or throughout his life that gives him this emotional connection, or this thing where he has this need to do this. Everything I've seen from him now, A says that he's seeing like cultist type behaviors or cult leader type behaviors, but I'm seeing a lot of signs of PTSD in his behavior as he's walking around the stage talking to the audience. I see someone who's basically trying to who's barely holding it all together.
Now, to my innocent mind, dead implies incapable of communicating. You might agree with me on that. But these people, they tend to tell you that not only can they communicate with the dead either, but they can hear the dead as well, and they can relay this information back to the living. I wonder if that's true. I don't think so, because this subculture of people use exactly the same gimmicks that we magicians do, exactly the same physical methods, the same psychological methods. And they effectively and profoundly deceive millions of people around the earth to their detriment. They deceive these people, cost them a lot of money, cost them a lot of emotional anguish.
And millions of people around the world already have figured that out without you. Sorry. Not only is he basically trying to basically establish his dominance and showing signs of PTSD, but he's also basically insulting the audience, insulting people, period, making the world believe that that people in general are inherently stupid, which people inherently are not. People are going to decide for themselves what they want to do, whether someone is a psychic or not. It's really not his place to say anything. However, if that's his love, if that's like a brother, a sister, an aunt, an uncle, that's someone he's actually biologically related to, or one of his very close friends, I could see him doing that, but there is no other reason for him to sit there and do that. Again, that's another point against him.
Billions of dollars are spent every year all over the globe on these charlatans. Now, I have two questions I would like to ask these people if I had the opportunity to do so. First question, I want to ask them to call up, because they do hear them through the ear. They listen to the spirits like this. I'm going to ask you to call up the ghost of my grandmother, because when she died, she had the family will, and she secreted it someplace. We don't know where it is. So we ask Granny, where is the will, Granny? What does Granny say? She says, I'm in heaven, and it's wonderful. I'm here with all my old friends, my deceased friends and my family, and all the puppy dogs and the kittens that I used to have when I was a little girl. And I love you, and I'll always be with you. Goodbye. And she didn't answer the damn question. Where is the will? Now, she could easily have said, oh, it's in the library on the second shelf behind the encyclopedia, but she doesn't say that. No, she doesn't. She doesn't bring any useful information to us. We paid a lot of money for that information, but we didn't get it. The second question that I'd like to ask, rather simple. Suppose I ask them to contact the spirit of my deceased father-in-law, as an example. Why do they insist on saying, remember they speak into his ear, why do they say, my name starts with J or M? Is this a hunting game, a hunting and fishing? What is it?
And now it comes out. Clearly this man was hurt a long time ago by a medium, and in all actuality, not all psychics are get it wrong. Some of them are actually there are like a lucky maybe 1% of people who genuinely are real psychics. That's actually been proven. There are people who actually know what they're doing, who don't defraud people. I met someone who did tarot card readings who said he couldn't do it after a while because he He was picking up people, who knew about their husbands and wives cheating on him, telling someone you better get an AIDS test done. He said he just stopped doing it because his conscience got to him. He felt like he was invading people's privacy, and it was not worth the aggravation or the heartache that he got from it. And he stopped. That's a genuine psychic right there. But, yeah, people are going to decide for themselves, but now I get it. For all the bad apples, there's a lot of bad apples. Of course there's charlatans out there who rip people off. However, he should have been in therapy. He should have sat down with a psychiatrist. He should have sat down with a counselor and talked about his issues. And clearly he has a lot of deep-seated trauma from his life that he's never dealt with. And this is what happens. You either you cave in, your life falls apart, or you passionately chase after one particular pursuit in your eternal quest to mask behind your pain. And that's what he did. He masked behind his pain.
Is it 20 questions? No, it's more like 120 questions, but it is a cruel, vicious, absolutely conscienceless, I'll be all right, keep your seats, game that these people play, and they take advantage of the innocent, the naive, the grieving, the needy people out there. Now, this is a process that is called cold reading. There's one fellow out there, Van Prague is his name, James Van Prague. He's one of the big practitioners of this sort of thing. John Edward, Sylvia Brown, and Rosemary Altea, they are other operators. There are hundreds of them all over the earth. But in this country, James Van Prague is very big. And what does he do? He likes to tell you how the deceased got deceased. The people he's talking to through his ear, you see. So what he says is very often is like this. He tells me before he passed that he had trouble breathing. Folks, that's what dying is all about. You stop breathing and then you're dead. It's that simple. And that's the kind of information they're going to bring back to you? I don't think so. Now, these people will make guesses. They'll say things like, why am I getting electricity? He's saying to me, electricity. Was he an electrician? No. Did he ever have an electric razor? No. It was a game of hunting questions like this. This is what they go through. Now, folks often ask us at the James Randi Educational Foundation, they call me, they say, why are you so concerned about this, Mr. Randi? Isn't that just a lot of fun? No, it is not fun. It is a cruel farce. Now, it may bring a certain amount of comfort, but that comfort lasts only about 20 minutes or so, and then the people look in the mirror and they say, I just paid a lot of money for that reading, and what did she say to me? I love you. They always say that. They don't get any information. They don't get any value for what they spend. Now, Sylvia Brown is the big operator. We call her the Talons. Sylvia Brown, thank you. Sylvia Brown is the big operator in this field at this very moment. Now, Sylvia Brown, just to show you, she actually gets $700 for a 20-minute reading over the telephone. She doesn't even go there in person. And you have to wait up to 2 years because she's booked ahead that amount of time. You pay by credit card or whatever, and then she will call you sometime in the next 2 years. You can tell it's her. Hello, this is Sylvia Brown. That's her. You can tell right away. Now, Montel Williams is an intelligent man. We all know who he is on television. He's well educated, he's smart, he knows what Sylvia Brown is doing, but he doesn't give a damn. He just doesn't care. Because the bottom line is the sponsors love it, and he will expose her to television publicity all the time. Now, what does Sylvia Brown give you for that $700? She gives you the names of your guardian angels, that's first. Now, without that, how could we possibly function? She gives you the names of previous lives, who you were in previous lives. It turns out that the women that she gives readings for were all Babylonian princesses or something like that. And the men were all Grecian warriors fighting with Agamemnon. Nothing is ever said about a 14-year-old bootblack in the streets of London who died of consumption. He isn't worth bringing back, obviously. And the strange things, folks, you may have noticed this too. You see these folks on television. They never call anybody back from hell. Everyone comes back from heaven, but never from hell. If they call back any of my friends, they're not going to, well, you see the story. Now, Sylvia Browne is an exception. An exception in one way, because the James Randi Educational Foundation, my foundation, offers a $1 million prize in negotiable bonds, very simply. One, by all you have to do is prove any paranormal, occult, or supernatural event or power of any kind under proper observing condition. It's very easy. Win the $1 million. Sylvia Browne is an exception in that she's the only professional psychic in the whole world that has accepted our challenge. She did this on the Larry King Live show on CNN 6.5 years ago, and we haven't heard from her since. Strange. She said it, first of all, that she didn't know how to contact me. Duh. A professional psychic who speaks to dead people, she can't reach me. I'm alive, you may have noticed. Well, pretty well, anyway. She couldn't reach me. Now she says she doesn't want to reach me because I'm a godless person. All the more reason to take the $1 million, wouldn't you think, Sylvia? Now, these people need to be stopped. Seriously now. They need to be stopped because this is a cruel farce. We get people coming to the foundation all the time. They're ruined financially and emotionally because they've given their money and their faith to these people. Now, I popped some pills earlier. I have to explain that to you. Homeopathy. Let's find out what that's all about. You've heard of it. It's an alternative form of healing, right? Homeopathy actually consists, and that's what this is. This is Calms Forte, 32 caplets of sleeping pills. I forgot to tell you that. I just ingested 6.5 days worth of sleeping pills. 6.5 days. That certainly is a fatal dose. It says right in the back here, in case of overdose, contact your poison control center immediately, and it gives an 800 number. Keep your seats. It's going to be okay. I don't really need it. Because I've been doing this stunt for audiences all over the world for the last 8 or 10 years, taking fatal doses of homeopathic sleeping pills. Why don't they affect me? The answer may surprise you. What is homeopathy? It's taking a medicine that really works and diluting it down, well beyond Avogadro's limit, diluting it down to the point where there's none of it left. Now, folks, this is not just a metaphor I'm going to give you now. It's true. It's exactly equivalent to taking one 325 milligram aspirin tablet, throwing it into the middle of Lake Tahoe, and then stirring it up, obviously with a very big stick, and waiting 2 years or so until the solution is homogeneous. Then when you get a headache, you take a sip of this water and voila, it is gone. Now that is true. That is what homeopathy is all about. And another claim that they make, you'll love this one. The more dilute the medicine is, they say, the more powerful it is. Now, wait a minute. We heard about a guy in Florida, the poor man. He was on homeopathic medicine. He died of an overdose. He forgot to take his pill. Work on it. Work on it. It's a ridiculous thing. It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what we're doing believing in all this nonsense over all these years. Now, let me tell you, the James Randi Educational Foundation is waving this very big carrot. But I must say, the fact that nobody has taken us up on this offer doesn't mean that the powers don't exist. They might, someplace out there. Maybe these people are just independently wealthy. Well, with Sylvia Browne, I would think so. You know, $700 for a 20-minute reading over the telephone, that's more than lawyers make.
Okay. Everything I heard, the entire video, the whole time, he's basically trying to sit there and overpower and trying to manipulate the audience and really kind of subtly strong-arm, kind of manipulatively strong-arm them and seeing things his way. Everything that Jim Jones, Charles Manson, Marshall Applewhite, these are all people who've done these things, and it's had deadly results. This man clearly has a very skewed view as to free will and how the way people should do things. Also, the people he has won over and manipulated have been people who are at college age level, or those the people he has exposed had severe mental health health issues.
A very big stick, and waiting 2 years or so until the solution is homogeneous. Then when you get a headache, you take a sip of this water and voila, it is gone. Now that is true. That is what homeopathy is all about. And another claim that they make, you'll love this one. The more dilute the medicine is, they say, the more powerful it is. Now, wait a minute. We heard about a guy in Florida, the poor man. He was on homeopathic medicine. He died of an overdose. He forgot to take his pill. Work on it. Work on it.
What you just said made no sense whatsoever. Homeopathy actually is under the belief that the human body inherently can heal itself. Man has been healing its own. Man for thousands of years, our bodies have been healing without modern medicine. The human race would have gone extinct a long time ago if that were not the case. So homeopathy is a little bit of medicine, but also promotes the body in the sense to where not being so reliant on medicine. They say the gene pool has been highly corrupted and our immune systems are not what they used to be as a result of being put on too many medications. So what James Randi is also doing is he's picking out a form. He's basically he's picking out a form of healing that's been proven to be effective. Homeopathy doesn't always work. There's sometimes when you have cancer or AIDS or whatever that you need to take your medicine, but for the most part, homeopathy is not proven ineffective. Again, here's another one me picking apart.
It's a ridiculous thing. It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what we're doing believing in all this nonsense over all these years. Now, let me tell you, the James Randi Educational Foundation is waving this very big carrot.
Okay, he's preaching at them now. He's preaching at them now. He's preaching at them now like a cult leader, which is exactly what he's been doing the whole time. This is actually frightening.
But I must say, the fact that nobody has taken us up on this offer doesn't mean that the powers don't exist. They might, someplace out there. Maybe these people are just independently wealthy. Well, with Sylvia Brown, I would think so. You know, $700 for a 20-minute reading over the telephone, that's more than lawyers make. I mean, that's a fabulous amount of money. These people don't need the $1 million, perhaps, but wouldn't you think they'd like to take it just to make me look silly? Just to get rid of this godless person out there that Sylvia Brown talks about all the time? I think that something needs to be done about this. We really would love to have suggestions from you folks on how to contact federal, state, and local authorities to get them to do something. If you find out, now, I understand, we've seen people even today speaking to us about AIDS epidemics and starving kids around the world and impure water supplies that people have to suffer with. Those are very important, critically important to us, and we must do something about those problems. But at the same time, as Arthur C. Clarke said, you know, the rotting of the human mind, the business of believing in the paranormal and the occult and the supernatural, all of this total nonsense, this medieval thinking, I think something should be done about that, and it all lies in education. Largely, it's the media who are to blame for this sort of thing. They shamelessly promote all kinds of nonsense of this sort because it pleases the sponsors. It's the bottom line, the dollar line. That's what they're looking at. We really must do something about this. I will.
Wow, that's again, he sounds like a cult leader. He's a cult leader for humanism, basically. This is actually very disturbing. The man is sitting there almost. It's almost he's like he's high off of his own rhetoric. Everything I've seen so far has been proven that James Randi is severely mentally ill. He has post-traumatic stress disorder. He's high on himself. He's manipulative and has roped the audience in by doing everything he did throughout the entire speech. He did not start just, if he wanted to sit there and win them over with his valid points and valid points alone, he could have just start talking and that's about it. But he didn't do that.
Take your suggestions, and I'm willing to have you tune in to our webpage. It's www.randy.org. Go in there and look at the archives, and you will begin to understand much more of what I've been talking about today. You will see the records that we have. There's nothing like sitting in that library and having a family appear there and say that Mom gave away all the family fortune. She cashed in the CDs, she gave away the stocks and the certificates. That's really sad to hear. And it hasn't helped them one bit, hasn't solved any of their problems. Yes, there could be a rotting of the American mind and of minds all the way around the earth if we don't start to think sensibly about these things. Now, we've offered this carrot, as I say, we've dangled the carrot, we're waiting for the psychics to come forth and snap at it. Oh, we get lots of them, hundreds of them every year come by. These are dowsers and people who think that they can talk to the dead as well, but they're amateurs. They don't know how to evaluate their own so-called powers. The professionals never come near us, except in that case of Sylvia Brown that I told you about a moment ago. She did accept and then backed away. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm James Randi, and I'm waiting. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to get a lot of enemies for this one, but, yeah, I have analyzed everything that this man has done. So far, I mean, I've seen what happened when he exposed James Heydrich, and then later on Jack Palance and a man named Danny Corum, who's an illusionist himself, who basically, does a lot of sleight of hand trickery himself, and he proves that, it's not real magic. He's fooling the audience, and they're having a good time. But he also he exposed James Heydrich, only he approached it in a much more subtle, more emotionally connective way. He did a background check on him. Turns out James Heydrich had a very rough background, and his mom was an alcoholic and abandoned him. I mean, hell, when they were interviewing James Heydrich's actual biological mother, she was drinking a beer. And then the Magnet Man was a guy who was an ordinary salesman in promotion in Asia, and he exposed him, and it was proven that he had severe mental illness. Penn and Teller today are a team. They're a solid act. I have a lot of love and respect for those two. You guys are great. However, when he approached them, they were of college age and they were still young kids, and they still had a lot to learn about the world. Alice Cooper, he was basically inebriated on alcohol and on booze, and he was another one. I mean, throughout most of his career, James Randi has only approached people who pretty much were not currently at that time in their lives in the right frame of mind, which means basically he's taking advantage of Penn and Teller. He's taking advantage of Alice Cooper. He's completely publicly exposed and demoralized all those other people, and embarrassed them and completely publicly shamed them in a very horrible way. And he took it one step. He took it one step too far. And from what I see around here, he did everything under the sun that a cult leader does. So yeah. The amazing James Randi is not that amazing at all. He's nothing more than a cult leader. He's no different than Marshall Applewhite or Charles Manson or Jim Jones. He's no or Peter Popoff, the same man that he publicly spoke out against. And yeah, it's one thing him and I do agree on. Peter Popoff is not a nice man. Aside from that, that's the only thing him and I agree on. Everything else, though, I'm sorry, James Randi, but you have now been officially exposed as a fake. You're a fake and a fraud yourself. You're nothing more than a cult leader, basically preying on the minds of people who want easy, fast answers for impossible questions. That's what it is. I don't hate you, but You need a lot of help, you need a lot of therapy, and you seriously need to retire. Anyway, this is a member of the Voice of Reason. Aho.